Cheers y'all, how's it going? It feels so good to be running again. Got a little lazy after Rocky Raccoon 100 for obvious reasons. I think wanted to take some time off and just take a breather, took some vacations, getting over a little bit of a cold, but made the impulsive decision to run out and just get a quick 30-minute run in on my lunch run. Actually decided to give my, like Garmin has these suggested workouts, so decided to give one of those a try today and just feeling so good, which I feel like is usually the case when I have my first day back to running in quite a while. And it just like, the air felt good in my lungs, the burning in my chest from getting a little bit of speed in, the ground under my feet, like everything just came together, felt like a very smooth run. There are certainly some things to work on before the upcoming races I have, but I'll have more details about that inside. But for now, just feeling good, walking back to the apartment and excited to get back into the routine. Cheers y'all, how's it going? I am back from my somewhat brief post Rocky Raccoon 100-miler hiatus, although I did try to sprinkle some YouTube shorts in there to keep you updated on how things are going, but did take a bit of a break from these long form videos. For those of you who have been following my running journey for a while, you know I tend to take these breaks after my big goal races. If you haven't been following and are unfamiliar, I hope you'll consider clicking that subscribe button to continue following the journey from here on out. But excited to be back. As you saw, took my first run, or one of my first runs back since that 100-miler attempt today, and I'm very excited or hopeful that this will kind of kickstart my training block, getting back into a solid routine to prepare for some of those big goals that I have coming up. And that's what I want to talk a little bit about today. But before we jump into that, another thing that you may have noticed is I'm trying out some new lighting and want your thoughts. So let me know in the comments below. This is a warmer setting on the light that I have so that you have the option to compare and contrast. This is the warm setting. This is the bright white setting. I just can't tell which one I prefer, so I'll let you decide which one you think looks more natural and less. This just feels so pale, but maybe that's just me in the winter time. But anyway, this is the option that I'm going with for today's video. And like I said, want to talk about some of those upcoming future goals that I have been, that I'm hoping to start preparing for. And the catchphrase my wife really coined after my last ultramarathon attempt is Ryan runs road races. We are moving away from the trail races. Not forever. I imagine I will dip my toes back into ultramarathons, into trail running every now and then. But as I've mentioned in previous videos, I'm very strongly interested and really excited to start committing to improving my PRs, especially in road marathons, but in a lot of road distance races as well. It's just a whole different animal, one that I think takes a whole different level of commitment and focus, especially in training, especially the amount of like speed and strength work it takes to kind of maintain those explosive paces for long distances. And so I'm just really excited to see what I can accomplish in a lot of those distances. So the marathon is really the big goal. But obviously, having been away from road marathons for a bit, want to sort of ease my way back into road racing, build a strong base before really hammering down into full-on marathon training. And that's sort of the stage that I'm at now. The base building phase, just rebuilding road miles, getting into a consistent routine and making sure my legs are strong and in shape. So when I hit that time to start marathon training, they are ready for the stress that entails. So I have a couple races coming up that are going to be those kind of dipping the toes in introductory races to get me back in that road racing routine. I feel like I'm doing a lot of alliteration in this video and it is very hard to keep from tripping over those words. But the first race coming up that I am super excited about is the Hot Chocolate Philadelphia 15K. Super pumped to run this race again. This will be my third year running this race, and once again have put together a pretty strong group for this run. I think there's at least 8 of us in our group going down to run the race. If you're interested in running as well, it's not too late. There's plenty of time to sign up. You can use the code BRP Run Hat to get a little bit of a discount on the race and also get a free branded running hat with your registration. But there's a 5K, 10K, and 15K option. So I think folks from our groups are covering all distances. We have some folks who will be running this as their first competitive race ever. So really excited to see how they do. And again, I just feel like this is such a fun, really well organized race, very approachable. At least the courses that I've done are good for beginner runners, but also fun for experienced runners to try to push themselves for new PRs. But then of course, one of the best parts about these races, of course, is the post-race celebration. All of the goodies, all of the swag, all of the food, really pumped to have all of that enjoyment on April 1st. So heading down to Philadelphia on April 1 for the Hot Chocolate 15K. Later on in the month of April, we'll be doing the Broad Street 10 miler. Again, do this race. I've done this race several times in the past with my family. We always run it as part of the American Cancer Society Team Determination. So a little plug there. If you'd like to donate to our charity team, I have the link for that down below as well. But happy our whole family will be getting back together for this race again. Again, it's a cause that means a lot to my family. We grew up right outside of Philly, so of course it's close to home, and just excited to bring everyone back home to tackle this race. Super fun race. The city really comes out to support folks and cheer folks on, so it should be an incredible time. So those are sort of the fun runs to ease me back into road running. But of course, as I have mentioned, the next massive goal for this year, and probably the only remaining massive goal in running for this year, is to tackle the Berlin Marathon September 24th. So incredibly excited to be taking on this race. This will be my second World Marathon major. And as I mentioned, being very interested in pushing myself towards faster speeds, faster times in the road marathon. I think Berlin will just be an excellent opportunity to push for a really strong new PR in the marathon distance. It's a fast course. Hopefully, knock on wood, we get great weather for the race. But just really excited to commit to the training, put together a solid block, and hopefully show up for an incredible performance in Germany. It'll be my first time in Berlin. Been to southern Germany a couple times, but never to Berlin, and I've just heard amazing things about the city and about this race in particular. Hoping to get a group together to come cheer me on. I know the travel's a bit difficult for international races, but it is sure to be exciting. Again, the city is going to be booming with all the folks that come in, and like I said, just really excited to experience the city for the first time and to tackle my second World Marathon major. So super excited for that. In terms of longer term plans for training, I mentioned right now I'm just in sort of that base building block, so taking things relatively easy, but switching it up a little from, I've basically been in kind of constant base building for the Rocky Raccoon 100 miler. Everything that I did was just really slow, long duration, long endurance efforts, aiming to focus on really low heart rate. Again, just making sure I wasn't putting my legs really at risk of any undue or unnecessary stress, and just working on building out mileage, because that was what was most important to me in the training for the ultra marathon. When I went out for today's run, for that quick 30-minute run, I mentioned I did sort of that Garmin recommended workout. Garmin gives you basically daily workout recommendations based on your past workouts, your past activities in that week, how exerted or overexerted it thinks you may be, and what types of exercises it thinks would be best to increase your fitness, increase your VO2 max, including recommending rest days when necessary. So I've seen that and have that recommendation every day. I've kind of built it into my training when I have a question or just am not sure what I should go out and do. But I think I'm actually gonna kind of rely on those over the next couple of days, couple of weeks, just to try out some new paces. Because when I mentioned some of the issues I ran in during today's 30-minute run, the recommendation was 30 minutes at a 9.5-minute mile, which is not fast by any means for me, but significantly faster than all of the training runs that I was doing for Rocky Raccoon. Most of those were around like the 10, sometimes 11.5-minute mile, taking things nice and slow, taking walk breaks when necessary. And what I realized was that I found it very challenging to maintain a consistent speed at that 9.5-minute mark. I was tending to start to just unconsciously accelerate throughout the run, and kept having to kind of dial it back, which was a little bit surprising, only because in past training blocks, I got very good at, I was very tuned into kind of my effort level, and I would kind of glance at my watch to find whatever my desired pace was, but whatever it was, developed a pretty strong ability to just be like, okay, this is what this pace feels like, and be able to run consistently at that effort level or at that pace. And today was just a wake-up call or a reminder that I have not been flexing my paces and not been kind of exercising that muscle, that particular muscle, and kind of lost that ability to be so in tune with my effort level or with a given pace, since I've been running everything at just one consistent pace instead of varied paces, paying attention to different effort levels, if that makes sense. So I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. Again, it was what I needed to do to get me across the finish line at the Rocky Raccoon 100. So that was my sole focus over the last several months. But just a reminder that I'm gonna need to pay careful attention to my upcoming workouts to make sure I'm building in varied paces and once again redeveloping that kind of skill or that kind of sense to be aware of different paces, because that's also incredibly important in my pacing strategy for road races, especially for longer distance like marathon road races, being able to be aware of what different paces feel like at different stages of the race so that I don't have to waste mental energy consistently checking my watch throughout the course. It's nice to be able to start the race and be like, here's my intended pace for the start. Go ahead and start out and run that consistently until I hit whatever the next interval is. Okay, I'm 5 miles in, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Okay, I'm halfway there, let's pick up the effort a little bit. And so I want to kind of redevelop those gears in a sense that I can switch in between. And that's something that I'm really going to be focused on doing over the next several weeks. And a lot of the focus for the marathon training in general is just redeveloping that sense of what those different gears feel like, so I can go into that marathon with a lot of confidence in my pacing plan and in my ability to maintain those paces without, again, just having to endlessly focus on what my watch is spitting out. So really, really excited about that. In terms of putting the plan together, it's still very early. These are like the pre-stages of marathon training. Like I said, just mostly base building right now. So I'm gonna be using that Garmin kind of recommended coaching as well as, I mean, I know what works for me. So I'll kind of build out some basic guidelines of different distances that I'd like to hit. I might just use Garmin in terms of recommending different paces or intervals that I wanna try. Avoiding any kind of speed work this early in the game, likely just focusing on some endurance runs at like a forever pace and maybe some steady state runs just outside of my comfort zone to start building that speed in and start increasing that VO2 max, increasing that fitness to prepare for that longer block of marathon training. Also excited, I've been talking with my past coach, Diego, who I've mentioned in past videos, has helped me accomplish almost all of my PRs at every distance. He has been a phenomenal resource in the past, but recently he and his wife moved across the country. He was going through some pretty intensive training for a new job. We've been talking more recently and have been really excited to share the excitement of some of my recent accomplishments with him, talk through some of his running accomplishments as well, and all of the exciting changes that he has going on, and excited at the prospect of hopefully getting to work with him again leading up to this Berlin race. But a lot of kind of unknowns, a lot of variables going on right now. And so it's just about focusing on getting the miles in, getting back into the routine and starting to organize these variables, starting to pull everything into place to build out that successful training plan. But this ended up being a little bit longer of an update than I was anticipating, but just to let you know where I'm at. As a reminder, don't forget to comment down in the comments below, which do you prefer? We've got this warm lighting, which again, I'm not sold on, but I do kind of like it better than just this bright white. But let me know how this shows up on the screen on YouTube, how it looks. I think we'll definitely avoid, this is the blue setting, which just feels like somehow light and shadow at the same time. So let me know your thoughts. You can vote down below if you like the warm light or the white light better. And if you don't already, I hope you will subscribe to all future updates and give the video a thumbs up to help other folks find it as well. I'm looking forward to getting back into my running routine. I hope your training is going fantastic as well. And until next time, I'll see you around. Cheers.